What is up, Mets fans? Welcome back to a somber episode of the Mets'd podcast. Sweep. Oh, God. Swept by the Rays. I mean, listen, the Rays aren't a bad baseball team by any means, better than I think a lot of people thought, myself included, going into the season. But they didn't really do anything in that series to make you be like, how do we not beat the Tampa Bay Rays? I don't know what it is about playing this franchise, and maybe someone will have the stats. We don't have notes for this one. We were just like, let's do 10 minutes off the cuff about what just happened in the worst series of the year. It feels like every time we play the Tampa Bay Rays, we have no idea what's going on. It's always like a cyclone. We're like, oh my goodness, how did we lose again to them? I think the last time that I remember playing well was when we had the walk-off home run, when we had the Arancini bros out in right field. Shout out the Arancini bros if they're still listening to this. That was like the last good series I remember against the Rays, but it feels like every single time they come to town, they beat the shit out of us. It wasn't even close, especially in the last two games. It was disappointing. Before we get going into it, remember, subscribe to the Mets'd Podcast YouTube channel for all the video content you want to see over there. Shout out to the members, a bunch of you just joined. $2.99 a month, you get early access to all the videos and a monthly live stream Q&A. So we do appreciate the support over there. If you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. And if you follow us on social media, at Mets'd, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, we really do appreciate it. I want to address one thing. I saw some people complaining about the ads recently on the audio side. It's not anything we can control. It's on a back end thing where we place ads and they decide what ads go. They decide how long they run for. So I just want that to be known. Hand up, not on us. YouTube, we can control that on YouTube. But if you're listening, it's a little bit different. I wanted that to be said, though, from the start. Let's talk about this Rays series. Also, happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. If you are still celebrating on Monday, I don't know how that works. But the Rays series, bad.
Happy belated Father's Day to all the fathers out there. But no, bad series. And it felt like there was a stark tone shift in this series where it felt like the party was still going after how hot the Mets had been through Friday, through the first 5 innings of the game. And then Tylor Megill was taken out of the game. And after, Tylor Megill, my God, Freudian slip there. Clay Holmes was taken out of the game after 5 innings on Friday night. And then the Rays got hot. And then every single thing changed on the dime, the entire series. The life got sucked out of Citi Field on Friday night. Saturday, the life got sucked out similarly by Tylor Megill himself, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But that exact moment when Clay Holmes got taken out of the game, tone shift of the series, and it did feel like the Mets kind of got punched in the gut, and they didn't really decide to show up for either of the next two games after that.
Yeah, Citi Field was rocking on Friday. It was Pride Night, and I say this like respectfully, it was so gay at the ballpark. Like everybody was wearing rainbow. There were just a ton of pride, a ton of really, really fun, just great atmosphere. People were dancing, people were screaming, people were going wild. The ballpark was raucous early on. We tried to get into the K corner, and they were doing like a drag show. It was packed. You could not get in to the K corner 2 hours before the game. So the place was jumping. People were excited. Everyone was ready to go. And like you said, the moment that Clay Holmes came out of this game, that's when things started to shift. And in the moment, I didn't understand why Clay Holmes was pulled. At the stadium, I was like, I didn't get that. It felt like while he didn't have his best stuff, again, he wasn't getting any swings and misses, which is crazy because the Rays actually do strike out a good bit and they don't walk at all. They strike out like top third of the league and they walk bottom third, which is crazy because you wouldn't know it watching this series. But I thought that Clay Holmes had one more in him. Where I had the issue with what happened, though, was that Brazoban was warming up and so was Blackburn. And I felt like we tried to get a little bit cute and use Blackburn in a multi-inning situation when the game was still 4 runs in the 5th inning or 6th inning, whatever it was. That's still a little close at that point. You still have 4 full at-bats if you're the Tampa Bay Rays.
Totally. And watching this game and covering this game Friday night for NBC Sports, like I was able to get a little more sense of what was going on. And Carlos Mendoza addressed all these things after. But in that 5th inning, Clay Holmes threw a trio of maybe 2.5, 3 90-mile-an-hour fastballs or sinkers. Once I saw those 90s, I was like, that's not that great of a thing. And then after the game, Carlos Mendoza said that he worked extra hard off the altitude and didn't recover as well as the team would have hoped. So going into the start, they knew it was a guaranteed 5-inning max, which I think, I don't know, the bullshit meter went up a tiny bit on that, tiny bit. I think mostly what it is the fact that Clay Holmes has already exceeded his innings limit from last season, the season before, the season before that. There's already the most innings Clay Holmes ever thrown in a Major League Baseball season. So I do think understanding that and with how well Clay Holmes has pitched, it's important to kind of be able to save him a little bit as we stay in these middle months. So we have a good Clay Holmes for the tail end of the season. I think this team very much wants a good Clay Holmes to end the season with. So I understand trying to pick and choose these moments where we're going to limit Clay Holmes to 70 to 80 pitches, get him out of the game. And a June game with a 4-run lead, to me, it's the perfect time to do it. But I do agree with you on the Blackburn decision. And again, Mendoza referenced this, saying that they knew Blackburn was going to stay on schedule to make the start in this upcoming series against the Braves. So if he was going to pitch in relief, it had to be in this game. So I think in that moment, they were like, let's just get him up. Let's just do that. Braziban, I think, was warming up in case the trouble that Clay Holmes was getting in the 5th inning, or not, in case there was trouble that happened in the 5th inning, happened because it was a 1-2-3 inning there. So then they were like, clean inning, Blackburn. The issue with this whole thing is Paul Blackburn having nothing, not executing, and just letting the Rays get back into this game. That was the issue. If Paul Blackburn pitches 2 clean innings, this is no conversation.
Sure.
The Mets win the game, no big deal. That's why I can't really fault Carlos Mendoza for a decision. I think process-wise, it was tolerable, but execution-wise, very bad on Paul Blackburn.
Yeah, Paul Blackburn looked horrible. Like, I think everybody's like fears of Paul Blackburn, where as good as he's looked like the last couple times he went out there against the Dodgers, and then it was against the Rockies, right? He gave us all those innings. It was like very valuable. But similarly to where like Clay Holmes might have looked a little bit tired working back hard, it looked like Paul Blackburn had not adjusted to being at sea level yet either, despite being home for 4 days. I mean, he just had absolutely nothing from pitch 1. He had nothing. And I felt like it felt like just trying to get a little bit cute. I know the process thing there, but even still, Paul Blackburn is the long guy. I felt like trying to fit him in, because if there was ever a scenario he was going to be used, this was the only chance. I don't like that being the reasoning to have to use somebody or why you use somebody.
I also think because that inning started with the middle of the Rays lineup, too.
That's also the problem.
That was Brandon Loud coming into the inning, who I believe was hitting second that night. So that's kind of an issue there. But again, I think in their perfect world, they were like, Blackburn for 2, then go to the A team and get out of another game. Like, I think that was the idea. That was the concept. That's not the worst idea I've ever heard, but it's just, it all comes back to Paul Blackburn having to be better. He just wasn't better. That was the problem. Also, the Mets were fortunate in this game even to build that lead. That was a lot of chaos. All 5 of the runs against Taj Bradley were unearned. You kind of had a chance to like step on a throat after getting incredibly lucky, and they just really kind of blew it. And there were chances late in this game for them to get back in it. The Soto fly ball in the 8th inning, that broke my heart.
I jumped out of my seat and screamed. I thought as soon as that ball was hit, it was a no doubt home run. What do you hit it? 112? And it was a homer in most ballparks, I think.
I think it was also based on the batted balls over the last few years, a home run like something like 70% of the time. And now we did get reports this weekend. Saris, Evan Drellick, and Andrew McCutchen of all sources that Major League Baseball has again, in a wider sense, adjusted the baseball, so this flying less in the air, more drag on the ball.
Why can't they just leave the baseballs alone? Why are we fucking with the height of the seams? Why are we fucking with the leather? Why the center of gravity? Why are we fucking with the baseballs this much? You know who's never complained about things? No one's ever like, oh, these baseballs too normal this year. We got to change it up. We got to make something crazy happen. Baseball's been too good. Let's stop the home runs and makes the balls drag more. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Especially when last season offense was down also, and now this season they do it again. But also Major League Baseball denied culpability, being like, all the balls are made differently. We don't know. Yeah, hand-sewn baseballs. We don't really know what's going on. And also my antenna always goes up a little bit when these big baseball stories come out with slight corroboration from Major League Baseball, because we do know, going back 2 years ago, that Major League Baseball has given different balls to different teams in different situations willingly.
Aaron Judge.
Yeah, we figured this out. Bradford William Davis, Meredith Willis, the physicist, who I've told you guys, if anyone has a beat on baseballs, hit me up, get in my DMs, because it's something that we always have to be aware of, because it happened once when Aaron Judge was chasing the 7th most home runs in a single season in baseball history. And Mets' achievement, of course, they'll remember for the rest of our lives. But frustrating when these instances happen like this with Juan Soto. But again, there's also guys on base in the 6th. Guys on base in the 7th.
I think 2 for 16 9th. With runners in scoring position on Friday night. Like, pretty impossible to win games.
Garrett Clevenger just owns Brandon Nimmo, too. A crazy moment in this game where you see it so rarely, because so few teams have this many good left-handed relievers, where Kevin Cash went from a lefty Mason Montgomery to another lefty Garrett Clevenger, just because I think the way his pitches move align better with the way Brandon Nimmo swings. Because twice in this series, Garrett Clevenger undressed Brandon Nimmo.
I mean, he also has disgusting stuff.
This whole bullpen has disgusting stuff. It's amazing that every single year you get to the Rays bullpen, there's never any repeat offenders, all different guys, and every single year they're all great. But again, every one of those innings in a 2-run game, we challenged. Again, shout out Justin Garza for getting through 2 solid innings to keep this game at 2 runs, but we just couldn't get the big hit. And I feel like this really led into Saturday's game, where Tylor Megill I'm so mad and frustrated with this guy because, as usual, he flashes great stuff. He's getting through the first few innings. The slider looks amazing. The fastball's buzzing. And all of a sudden, Tylor Megill gets to, the third inning, the fourth inning, an error, and then he just completely melts down.
His own error, by the way.
This was a 2022 Tylor Megill meltdown, where after the error, there was a pitch in the dirt, and he doesn't cover first base, doesn't cover home plate, and you're just like, why
are you the way you are?
Why can't you take this? This is good. This is the epitome of the "you up" meme because this is who Tylor Megill is. He flashes, but this guy can't get his life together. Every time you give him a chance, he breaks your heart again. It's like, why? Why does this keep happening? The exact mental step that David Peterson has taken, and we've given him so much credit for, is the exact hurdle that Tylor Megill just can't seem to climb. And it's so frustrating every fifth day to watch this guy get to the edge and then fall apart.
Yeah, I've gotten to the point where I feel almost numb to watching Tylor Megill pitch because the highs are incredible and the lows are devastatingly low. Like, he lost that game for the Mets on Saturday. His performance, fielding, pitching, everything. His body language was some of the worst body language that I've seen on a mound in so long. And it's like, I know you're Big Drip. I know this is kind of your thing, that you are a little bit of a mope here and there. But, like, what the fuck, man? Like, your stuff is so good. Be a dog. We've seen it before. Like, we always talk about that Phillies start, Sunday Night Baseball, going up against Zach Wheeler. He fucking won that game. That was a massive, massive win for the Mets. And we really thought that was going to be like, go back, circle, the moment for Tylor Megill. And it's unbelievably frustrating that it's not. Because it's not. I think we have to get past the point now where it's just like, this is probably the pitcher he is. There's going to be times where he's okay. There's going to be times where you want to rip your hair out. There's going to be times when he's dominant. And ultimately, he's just a back-end guy that's going to keep getting up and down and fluctuate until he ever figures it out. It might not be here with the Mets. I don't know what it's going to take for this guy to actually figure it the fuck out consistently. It's so annoying.
It is summertime. We are in the thick of golf season. It's always golf season down in Florida, but we're in the thick of golf season across the country. And if someone's looking to get a new club, that logo should say it all. PXG. What do they do?
Go get fitted. Mm-hmm. Go get fitted by one of their master fitters, professional fitters. I've done it. It's helped shave many strokes off my handicap. It is worth it. It's educational. You learn about not only clubs, you learn about shafts, you learn about grips, you learn about angles. They have all the numbers, all the setups that you need to help improve your handicap.
You feel like a VIP when you're there.
100%. They even help my putting, which needed help.
Mm-hmm. They help your putting there. That's how cool it is. So schedule your fitting today, and for a limited time, you could save up to 20% on your entire order. Head over to pxg.com/foul. That's pxg.com/foul to save up to 20% on your entire order. pxg.com/foul. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
This feels like the reincarnation of the Nick Pivetta situation with the Phillies and the Red Sox, where it's like you get these couple weeks at a time, you get this month, this flash, and you're like, damn, this guy's so good. And then all of a sudden, something goes wrong, and then it all falls apart. Where Pivetta did it in a more of a fiery way, where it seemed like he was just more outwardly a bit of a dick, for lack of a better term, where Megill is just a mope. And the thing that pissed me off the most about this Megill start was that he gave up the first run of this game in the third inning. The Rays hit the ball around a little bit. He got out of it with 2 big outs to strike out Jonathan Aranda with guys on base to end the inning. Bear down a little bit. In the next inning, bang. Brett Beatty, what was that? Like after a nice at bat, smokes a ball, one of the best hit balls Brett Beatty's had. Hopefully he can kind of turn his corner a little bit. And then after that home run, 2-out rally by the Mets to get another run home with a top to Lindor double, who had a much better series, and then Nimmo single. And then the next inning, after his team bought him a lead, after he gave it up first, is when the chaos happens. And it's clear that this kind of all started, I think, when Junior Caminero just hit a piss rocket off him in a 2-strike pitch that he did not execute. For some reason, threw him a 2-strike sinker up in the zone.
This is what I don't understand either.
Or 1 strike. It was 1-2 pitch.
Again, I mentioned it. This Rays team chases, they swing and miss, and they don't walk. And this series, the Rays didn't swing and miss. They barely chased, and they walked a ton. Like, what was the game planning off on these guys too, or did the pitchers just shit the bed?
Oh, I think sometimes just get hot. If the team gets hot, the team gets hot. You can't really do anything about that. But again, it just comes back to the fact that he gets into this inning with the lead. And also, the craziest part about the whole inning, too, is that the Rays did give us an out. Yeah. The sacrifice bunt to the inside of the inning.
That he literally... I've never seen someone drop a baseball in the way that Tylor Megill. He fielded it completely normally, and he dropped it on his way back. The ball was in his hand. He was going to make the throw, and his arm went forward, and the ball fell out. I've never seen that happen. Like, did he have butter on his hands? What was going on? He needs some sticky stuff.
The Rays were handing you the second out of the inning when only one run was home, and all you had to do then was to get one out to preserve a tie game in the middle innings, and then keep
also
pitching the game.
became a little bit of a theme in this series too. The Rays were just like, oh, the Mets can't field bunts. We had one in game 3 on Sunday where they put down a bunt. Brett Beatty went to cover third. Griffin Canning thought that he was going to go charge the ball. The Mets played some really, really bad defense this series as well.
It was really emphasized on Sunday too, the fact that this was like one of the first no-show-up games the Mets have had this season, where they sleptwalked through the whole thing. They barely ever challenged. The Rays tacked on. Seemed like every single time they had half of an opportunity to. The Mets got fucked up in this series.
Yeah.
And this is really the first time it's happened all year. The Mets are the second to last team in Major League Baseball to get swept. Somehow, the Cincinnati Reds are the last team standing. The only team in baseball, you're right, isn't that crazy? The only team in baseball not to be swept this season, the Cincinnati Reds, who just climbed over 500. And I went through this after the game because my uncle defiantly told me the Mets are the last team to get swept. I was about to put it in my game-ending notes tweet, and my dad's like, fact check him. I started going through every team schedule alphabetically. Luckily, the Reds are the one that hasn't. C came up early. They've lost series this year to the Pirates, the White Sox, the Marlins, the Nationals, but they have not been swept by any good teams.
What?
Crazy, very bizarre. And the Reds are climbing over 500. They're actually playing very good baseball right now. But again, that's besides the point. Mets got fucked up in this series. There's really no positives at all to pull, besides maybe the fact that Ty Adcock might have become a demon in the offseason.
98?
90 to hit 99 a couple of times.
So,
that slider looked good.
Tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like I remember this happening with Reed Garrett because he technically was on the 2022 Mets. And I remember he came into a game because me and you were there all the time working for the team. And we're like, who is this guy? And he threw like 96 with the splitter. We're like, okay. And then the next year, he came up with the Mets and we're like, 98 with a splitter? Wait, hold on. And a sweeper? Like, are the Mets cooking? Could it be happening with Ty Adcock a little bit? What makes you say he's a little bit of a demon besides just throwing 98? Anything else?
Yeah, picking up a few ticks, and also the fact that slider looked like it was, the movement on it was kind of shocking the Rays a little bit. Where last year that slider got hit hard, it kind of sat. But this year had a little bit more bite to that little tight gyro slider. But we also saw this with Max Kranick over the last year, where the stuff really seemed to tick up after a full offseason with the team.
That being said,
he also didn't pitch very well at all. And after he wasn't pitching very well last time.
Stanek watch, bad again. Really bad.
Stanek, bad. I said it last time. We're on Stanek's splitter whiff watch because we're going on a full month where Ryan Stanek has not gotten a swing and miss on his splitter.
Dude, he's not even throwing it. He's just doing all fastballs right now. And he threw a couple sweepers at the game. It said on the scoreboard.
He's trying to get a sweeper going. There's a lot of the regression that was due with this pitching staff is kind of happening at once. Same with Griffin Canning, because I mentioned it last episode, where the whole thing with Griffin Canning is the fact that he's pitching backwards. Teams are starting to hit. They're starting to sit slider. He has to be able to spot that changeup. And if he can't spot it, especially against right-handed batters, it's nothing. And these guys, the Rays, were sitting back this whole game. They didn't swing at anything. And they let Griffin Canning walk them around the bases in the first few.
I was going to say, I also felt like Griffin Canning couldn't throw a first pitch strike either. The amount of curveballs cutters that he missed up and away to left-handed batters was shocking. Like, that's not really a spot that you miss with cutters often.
No, it's bad. And I think that it's bad, but in the sense that I'm not like pull Griff Canning out of the rotation, but just the fact that what was happening before isn't real. Being this bad isn't real either. But it was always a fine line he was walking towards the effectiveness. Now it's happening at once. It does suck that this is all happening as Tylor Megill's falling apart, as Kodai Sayan goes on the injured list, as Frankie Montas can't get out of second innings in Syracuse AAA.
Sean Manaea got shelled in Brooklyn too.
In high Brooklyn. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not sounding any alarm bells, but I'm like, I really hope that we have a stretch right now where maybe the Bats can just score 7 runs like 6 games in a row. Because I've kept saying it on Twitter, and I'm really honest about this. The season's about to start this week.
Yeah.
Tuesday, the Mets season starts. We've had a really good preseason here where we've built up a nice cushion, but the season is beginning because we're now playing the Braves for the first time all season, 7 times in 10 days with a Philly series sandwich in the middle of it. We have a nice 1-month stretch to get to the All-Star break and try and maintain everything that we've built up this season as the pitching is at its most fragile state of the entire season, starting to hit, but still not fully clicking yet. The bullpen's also in a bit of a fragile state right now. We're really starting to rotate through the glob of chaos. A lot of nonsense happening there. This is going to be a critical stretch to the Mets season over this next 4 weeks until the All-Star break.
It would not only be nice to win a bunch of games up this next stretch, but have a bunch of like deep, good pitching performances by the starting pitching, some nice calm bullpen performances. Get back to business, because I hated what I saw this weekend. It was an unenjoyable watch, like you said, from that 6th inning on Friday night. It
No
was
moments of peace.
some of the worst baseball I've watched in a long time. Mets play.
And it was sleepy weather in New York. It was misty and rainy and chilly the whole weekend. Weird to have a cold Father's Day. I can't remember that literally ever happening in our lives, but it's critical. It's critical that the Mets shape up because we, again, are starting the most critical stretch we've played this season so far with Braves, Phillies, Braves. A nice 10-game gauntlet happening for the next week and a half here, it's bullshit scheduling, but it's important. And you start to look at some of these pitching matchups and you're like, I don't really like what I see.
It might be that time. If you're looking for a new car, there's one place to go that is going to take care of you, and it's Car Gurus.
Yeah, looking for a car should be fun, not exhausting. Everywhere else, it's exhausting. You're dodging people. You're trying to just, can I look at this car? Car Gurus, you type in your search, you find the color that you want, it narrows it down for you, and all of a sudden you're like, this has been an exciting experience, and you got a great deal.
With over 4 million listings, Car Gurus has more car listings than any other major online automotive marketplace in the US, so you can find the best deal. It's no wonder similar web estimated traffic data shows Car Gurus is the #1 most visited car shopping site. Buy or sell your next car today with Car Gurus at cargurus.com. Go to cargurus.com to make sure your big deal is the best deal. That's cargurus.com. Cargurus.com.
Briefly, I do want to talk to you about the shocking trade that came down Sunday evening where Rafael Devers, out of the clear blue sky, was sent from the Red Sox to the Giants. Reminiscent of the Luka Doncic trade, I think. A lot of people on Twitter are pulling that. I can't believe what happened. I want to know what you think about it because we haven't really talked about it yet.
Yeah, so Devers hit a home run against the Yankees today to help them sweep the first place Yankees in Boston. The Red Sox are playing some of the best baseball they've played all year.
Probably the best.
He gives an interview after the game to media talking about how the team's starting to play well. He thinks that they have so much left to give. Can't wait to see what's happening. He's excited for the rest of the season. And then he gets traded to the San Francisco Giants. I was taking a little car nap because we were coming back from the game. Went with my dad and my mom for Father's Day. Got a nice suite, which was really awesome. Cool little experience. And on the drive home, my phone starts going crazy. Start getting phone calls. I wake up to 100 texts, and I'm like, what? And James just texts me. He's like, dude, that's all I get from him. Dude, Devers. And I was like, was he shot? Like, did something terrible happen? Like, what's going on? I thought Rafael Devers died before I thought he got traded. That's how insane this trade was. It wasn't even on my radar. And then to see he went to the Giants and the haul that they got back, and I say haul very, very lightly because it's a load of shit. Let's be honest. For the quality of player that Rafael Devers is, it's absolutely fucking nothing. What a terrible time to be a Red Sox fan. What a horrible look for that organization. I thank God every single day we have Steve Cohen and David Stearns running this team because holy shit, that's worse than the Mets would even do in the Wilpon days.
I think it's far worse. I also do think I want to call out a lot of Mets fans who are like, how could we have not put this together? Where the most important part of this trade by far was that the San Francisco Giants took on every single cent of Rafael Devers' contract remaining, which I believe is about 7 years and $250 million. Amazingly, in taking that part of the contract on, not that part, the entire contract on, they are still about $8 million clear of the first threshold of the luxury tax. This was serendipity for this Giants team. This was Buster Posey sitting in a room with the fellas being like, hey, let's do something crazy.
Well, we heard from Buster Olney that they weren't shopping him. The Red Sox were not actively shopping him, but if you called them and said, what do you got for Devers, they wouldn't hang up the phone. So I think Buster Posey after the game was like, swinging the bat pretty well. Let me give the Red Sox a call. He's like, hey, Craig, Rafael Devers, you want to make a trade? He's like, sure. How about Kyle Harrison, Jordan Hicks, who sucks, James Tibbs, and Jose Bayo? And Posey's like, that's it? He's like, can you pay the contract? He's like, done, deal, no problem. Where do I sign?
Especially because we've gone on years now openly where the Giants have been begging stars to take their money. And it has not happened. They kind of had to probably make a deal that I'm sure they regret at this point in Willie Adames this offseason because he's been horrible to start the year. Yeah, still a good player. I still expect Adames, kind of like what we've talked about with like Lindor, so the Beltran in the past, to probably get it together by next year. But he does some worrying signs with his bat speed dropping significantly compared to the rest of his career. But I digress. But the Giants team is playing well. They're playing over their skis, and now they're adding
shockingly well.
They're adding openly one of the 10 best hitters in baseball to their team. And again, as they've gone offseason after offseason, struggling to get anyone to take their money, this is huge because now you're like, all right, we know we're paying the money. He doesn't really have a chance to say no.
I was about to say, Rafael Devers can't say no. They were just like, hey, guess what? You're on our team now. Guess you get to play in the Bay Area. They haven't had a 30 home run hitter since Barry Bonds.
Crazy stat in sports.
That's insane. I also think they haven't had the same starting left fielder on opening day since Barry Bonds. The instability while also success of that franchise since the Bonds days is one of the most fascinating things in baseball right now.
And they have a really funny confluence with this roster and this team right now of players that were super analytical darlings brought in by Farhan Zaidi, the former president of baseball operations. And now Buster Posey just run this thing like an old boy, like the boys club baseball is supposed to be. But it's going to be funny how good this top of the lineup is when everyone's fully healthy. Matt Chapman's back and Rafael Devers is swinging.
It's also really funny too because Rafael Devers is just in the same situation in a new
back
city
to
where
DH.
he's not going to play third base. I mean, he might play it now because Chapman's hurt and he's out for I think like a month, but he's going to then just go back to DH, or they're going to be like, you're going to play first because we have Dom Smith there every single day right now.
Shout out Dom Smith, Mets legend. But yeah, I also wonder what a slap in the face would be for the Red Sox if Devers like, yeah, sure, I'll try first base a little bit.
Oh, I think there's a very good chance he does. As kind of like a, hey, fuck you. They did dick him around a little bit. They super disrespect Rafael Devers this offseason. Not in signing Bregman, not in telling him that, like, can you play first base, but the way that it was handled and the smear campaign that felt like that was going out, especially when he was misquoted multiple times, that felt dirty. Yeah.
It did. It was a strange situation when you have a player who's been the de facto face of your franchise because you've let all your other stars go. Tremendous, always does his job, always plays really well. Highest paid player on your team, longest tenured player on your team, I believe, as well. And then to allow this kind of thing to happen when the communication just seems rocky. And this seemed like a bit of a, I don't know if I'm reading into it too much, but it seemed power struggle-ish with him and Breslow because Craig Breslow did not sign the long-term contract for Rafael Devers. Chaim Bloom did. Chaim Bloom's not the team anymore. Craig Bleslow's in charge. Then when those situations happen, sometimes these executives kind of don't want to be saddled with these contracts that they're not the ones that signed. And when you look at the Devers contract at the end of the day, it's like he's a tremendous hitter, but he's shown more chinks in the armor as a hitter than someone who you're signing a huge contract that's hitter only probably should.
But also, like, not really, though.
A little.
Like, not really. Like, he had the 0 for 18 with 15 strikeouts to start the year. What's his OPS right now? 960 or something?
Oh, one of the best hitters in baseball.
Yeah, so it's like, you say that. The biggest problem with him is that he is a DH. You cannot play him in the field. He is horrible, has always been horrible. But I also think that's part of the reason why he was like, dude, let me play third, or like, don't put me at first. Have you seen how bad I am at the position I've played my entire life? You think I'm going to be good at first?
There is some slight contact rate concerns with Devers. He does swing and miss more than most other elite hitters in the game. But that's something that when you're 28 doesn't matter. When you're 33, it might matter. When you're 33, making $30 million, that could matter a little bit. But it's still like
no brainer.
I don't know. Yeah, for the Giants, this is one of the best trades you could make as an organization. For the Red Sox, you're leaving your fan base being like, pure, what the fuck? Like, how could we trade Mookie Betts? You trade Chris Sale for peanuts, who wins a Cy Young Award, and now you just trade Rafael Devers. And now if you look at the Red Sox lineup, right now in roster resource, you know who their projected DH is?
Romy Gonzalez?
It's David Hamilton.
Whoa.
Which is just, I think that's just a roster resource. That's a roster research calibration issue. I think just got to get into there for the night, but it's crazy. And the most frustrating part, if I was a Red Sox fan, would be looking at my team's salary right now and being like, oh, maybe we're going to really go all in and push this thing. But you see the fact that at the moment they're $500,000 shy of the luxury tax threshold. And you got to be like, wow, are they going to try and get through this whole season and not pay a luxury tax penalty and then maybe try to spend money this offseason after getting under the threshold last season to reset their penalty? Now 2 years in a row trying to go under that threshold. It's just what a pull in, pull out by the Red Sox doing the Bregman crochet then dumping Devers.
What the Red Sox fans don't realize is that Liverpool signed Florian Wirtz and for a record fee, like a couple $100+ million transfer fee.
I think 135 million pounds.
Yeah, which I think that also kind of might have a little bit of play of like if the relationship with Devers was bad, apparently one of the big issues was that John Henry made some comments to Devers or something like that. Devers just completely ignored him and like treated him like he wasn't the owner of the team that's paying him all this money. That apparently really pissed everybody off. And they were like, we got to get rid of this guy, which also like, again, he's your star player. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me still at the end of the day. It never will. And the only thing that I will say about this affecting the Mets, the Giants are another team we now have to compete with for playoff spots. That part really sucks.
Yeah, we have to play the Giants 6 times in 10 days coming out of the All-Star break after a week. So it's great that we haven't played them yet. Then we get to play them with Rafael Devers on the roster because that does suck. And also, Liverpool is on their way to, I think, signing another player, Isak. I'm not too hip to the transfer window.
Alexander Isak?
Alexander Isak. Apparently, they're moving in on him too. So that I don't know. I'm not a conspiracy theory guy, but I might be connecting a few dots there. So it's I'm a little happy not to be a Red Sox fan right now.
Yeah, no. If there's any Red Sox fans listening to this, you guys will you go to a game the rest of the year? Are you boycotting until they do something? What's the deal? Because I know as a Mets fan, this hadn't happened to us. Again, the Red Sox might have traded away 3 Hall of Fame players, 3 Hall of Famers in the last 5 years. And the players they got back, Chris Sale, Devers, Mookie Betts. And the players that they got back were Connor Wong, Jeter Downs, Alex Verdugo, Vaughn Grissom, Kyle Harrison, Jordan Hicks, James Tibbs. And James Bayo. Sure, Jose Bayo. Jose Bayo is the guy's name. That's crazy for 3 Hall of Fame possible players. I think 2 of them have a pretty good shot. Devers probably the least.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you're doing a little bit of work to make Devers a future Hall of Famer.
If he keeps it up, he's going to have like 450, 500 home runs.
Yeah, that's true. If he keeps it up. Also, he's going to a much harder place to hit home runs, much harder place to hit in general. Yeah. It's hard to make the Hall of Fame as an all-time DH unless you're David Ortiz.
Or Edgar Martinez.
Or Martinez. I don't know. That was one of the most shocking Major League Baseball transactions I've ever seen in my life. Happy to be hanging out with my dad and uncle at Father's Day dinner, and I could just break out the laptop and start going through the Red Sox contracts and who these prospects are. That was a fun afternoon to have it. We had to talk about that because you can't make baseball content and not talk about the Rafael Devers trade.
No. All right, let's go ahead and do that Braves series preview here. First time we're playing the Atlanta Braves this year. That's
so fucking stupid.
Insane. June 17th will be the first time that we play the Atlanta Braves in the year 2025. What are the pitching matchups? How are we looking? I know that they just came off of the weirdest game I've ever seen where Grant Holmes struck out 15 Colorado Rockies and the Braves lost by 9. I don't know how that happens.
Yeah, they gave up 10 runs to the Rockies. We just saw the Rockies, so you guys can take that whatever you will. But huge series. I also want to say this. Everyone enjoy your off day on Monday. Either reset, flush that toilet, flush it twice. That was a horrible series just played against the Rays. Also, missed one thing. I want to just give one positive piece of Mets news. Francisco Lindor got 10 years of service time after the game on Sunday. Congratulations, Francisco Lindor. I love that guy deeply. Had a nice little party. Had the little girls on his arms. Happy about all that. One little piece of Mets positivity to take in with you. Tuesday, 7:15. Bit of an ace-off here. David Peterson versus Chris Sale.
Oh, that is an ace-off.
Wednesday, 7:15.
That's got to be like the gangliest lefties ever pitching against each other.
One of the biggest wingspan matchups we've seen in a long time. But Wednesday, also 7:15. 7:15, not 7:10 this year. For some reason, Atlanta just loves to be different. Not an ace-off. Paul Blackburn versus Spencer Schwellenbach. Well, and then Thursday, 7:15 again. So late night Thursday. No travel day before heading to Philadelphia for the weekend series. Clay Holmes versus Bryce Elder. The return of Bryce Elder.
When I saw the 7:15 start on Thursday, I was like, you gotta be shitting me. How do we keep getting these late night enders? I'm going to be in Vegas. It's even a late night for a Vegas podcast, which is annoying. So Bryce Elder's been pitching kind of well, though, hasn't he?
He has been pitching kind of well, but then he didn't pitch like tremendously against the Rockies. I mean, I'm not going to say anything about Bryce Elder. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm not even going to break him down. I don't want to say anything about Bryce Elder going into the series. I just want us to he didn't get out of the 4th inning in the game against the Rockies. All I'm going to say after he struck out 12 in the game against the Giants. I'm saying 2 factual statements. His last 2 starts, struck out 12 in 8 innings against the Giants, didn't get out of the 4th inning against the Rockies. I am leaving it there. There's no more analysis from that. But now talking about the rest of this Braves team, because I think there is a good bit to talk about. Let's do positives. Let's do positives on the Braves.
Sure, positives on. I'll start first. Can I start with the first positive?
Yes, positives on the Braves.
Ronald Acuna Jr., while he's not running, is on an absolute tear. The dude's locked in at the plate. He's like, remember how I was one of the best players in baseball? Still am. Doesn't matter if I've torn both my ACLs. He's ridiculous.
Can I do more positives on the Braves?
Keep going. I thought we were going to go back and forth.
Chris Sale, after a few kind of rough starts this season, didn't look like he might have been losing a little bit, has been ridiculous since the beginning of May. One of the best pitchers in baseball again. ERA's under around 2 since the beginning of May, striking tons of guys out, not walking anybody. Major shift in his arm slot this season where he's now gone from mostly a side armor to a pure ass side armor, 8-degree arm angle, which is one of the lowest of any starting pitcher in baseball. He's like full Marge Simpsoning it, like Kirk at that elbow, and then going out there. It's just still sliders and fastballs. He's getting that thing back up to 96, 97 miles an hour. The guy is still at 36 years old, clearly one of the best pitchers in baseball.
Here's my positive. The catching tandem is mashing. Specifically, Drake Baldwin, good baseball player. He's going to play. He's the left-handed bat for the Braves at the catching platoon. Sean Murphy's also hitting the ball well, hitting it hard again. Those two can legitimately hit, which is annoying because pretty much every single team the catcher position's like, hey, kind of a free out right now, but not for the Braves.
Baldwin's also been so good. So good. I say that honestly. He's been moved up to like second in the order a couple of days, hitting between Acuna and Austin Riley. Another positive about the Braves, Spencer Schwellenbach turning into a full-blown superstar. I think we're going to go through the next 3, 4, 5, 6 Major League Baseball seasons and be like, this guy Schwellenbach's a problem. Still just 25 years old, working in his second Major League season. I love dropping the stat with you guys, but I think it was 17 total starts that Spencer Schwellenbach made between high school and the major leagues. It's really kind of obscene how quickly that guy went through everything from being a two-way player, shortstop closer at Nebraska. Freak of nature, true 6-pitch mix, 97-mile-an-hour fastball, 87-mile-an-hour slider, splitter, cutter, curveball, sinker. He's such a good pitcher. He has so many ways to get you out, confident, tons of weapons to get hitters from both sides of the plate. One of my favorite pitchers to watch in the entire league, openly and honestly.
Positive, Matt Olson and Austin Riley are hitting again.
Yeah, that's sure. Good positive. That's positive. See, now you put me in the spot because now I might be running out of positives about the Atlanta Braves here. That was kind of rude.
The bad guy's hitting.
Yeah, the Marcell Ozuna. I am Ozuna from the Braves, the man who allegedly got into this domestic violence and also got caught drunk driving. He's also hitting well in the middle of that Braves lineup. Positive about the Atlanta Braves. They signed Jose Azocar.
That is a positive. Former Met. Positive about the Atlanta Braves. I don't think Jesse Chavez is currently on the Major League roster.
That's huge positive about the Atlanta Braves. Another positive. Pierce Johnson has pitched decently well.
And Dylan Lee.
Their
bullpen actually hasn't
pitched decently well.
Been that bad. Their bullpen's been okay. It's been Raisel Iglesias. If there's been a problem. There's been a problem.
Stop. No, don't matter. Doesn't know.
Okay.
We're only doing positives about the Atlanta Braves. Only positives about the Atlanta Braves.
They got Jose Suarez from, the Angels?
Yeah.
And he made 3 appearances before being hurt and had a 2.4 ERA.
Yeah. Also, here's a big one. Positive about the Atlanta Braves. They passed Washington Nationals in the standings.
That's true. Okay. There you go.
Yeah. So I think that wraps up our positives on the Atlanta Braves, right?
I think that wraps up the series preview about the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, the Braves are the Atlanta Braves. We have 7 games against them in 10 days. The Mets are not playing very good baseball. It would be really, really good for the Mets team, the Mets future, the Mets season, my psyche, Mark's psyche, to go down to Atlanta and, play good baseball.
I'd love to enjoy my trip to Vegas. I'd love to not have to be really, really frustrated watching the Mets play the Atlanta Braves. It would be cool if the Mets played good baseball. That'd be really cool.
That would be that would be very cool this week. I would be happy. I'd be content if the Mets play good baseball against the Atlanta Braves.
Some might even say it'd be chill.
It'd be so chill if the Mets could beat the Braves. But I think that's good. Got enough positive about the Atlanta Braves. That's all we got to say about them.
That's all we got.
Got Frankie Peppers to end this episode out.
Let's go. Give me a little Frankie Peppers action.
Gentlemen, this is Frankie Peppers. How you doing?
How you doing?
I'm doing better than the New York Mets right now. That was not a pretty series. I'm getting a little concerned about the pitching, but we all knew that eventually there'd be some regression. We all knew this was going to happen. And look, if we look back at this in the middle of October, hopefully early November, and we go, that Rays series was the worst series of the year, then we're doing okay. I hope you boys are treating yourselves well. I hope your fathers are having a wonderful Father's Day. Please.
Next message. What happened?
Wish each of your fathers a very happy Father's Day from Frankie Peppers. Nobody wished me a happy Father's Day, which is fine. I won't get into it. So I guess I'll talk to you soon, boys. Thanks. Take care.
So are we to guess that Frankie does he have illegitimate children, or what's going on there that he's expecting a happy Father's Day, but nobody said it?
I mean, all I know is that the lore of Frankie Peppers grows with every single waking moment. I think that's kind of the beauty of the bit.
And you know what, Frankie? I'll be the first to say Happy Father's Day to you, Frankie.
Frankie, I'll proudly be the second to wish you a happy Father's Day. Happy belated Father's Day to Frankie Peppers.
True legend of the Mets'd podcast. Guys, that's all we got for you. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe to the Mets'd podcast YouTube channel if you want to see the video version of this. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google if you want to listen to us. James on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube. I don't do your Instagram and YouTube. That was weird.
Yeah.
What's your social media?
And no one needs to follow my Instagram, but James Chiano. Schino.
I'm Giraffe Neck Mark with a C. Thank you guys for listening and watching. We'll catch you on the next episode. Please, for the love of God, beat the Braves.
Peace out, guys. Saying nice things about the Braves. Let's go, Mets.